What does it mean to be an empath? How does it affect people? Can feeling someone's pain, sorrow, joy, and experiencing negative energy that may be in the room with you, can this spiritual gift be a blessing or some may say a curse? I'm your host, Jason Medlock. In tonight's episode, we will discuss these topics with Houston's millionaire matchmaker, Amber Neal. Amber Neal is known as an innovator, as Houston's millionaire matchmaker, as seen on Global Press 2020, Barbara Walters, The Tonight Show, and all the local media for her innovative events. In 2018, Amber's public relations firm was launched, the Amber Neal firm, which everyone knows in the city. In June 2021, Amber Neal Productions joined forces with Boss Up Houston Network to create the new TV, radio podcast content, and accepted the role of president of the network. Amber is also an ordained minister and has had more than a few spiritual revelations, which has catapulted her professional career. Boss Up Network has partnered with Amber Neal to provide a major opportunity for Houstonians to not have to pay and not have to go to LA or New York to get discovered. Amber is a certified television producer and a technical director. She's an expert at network and brand strategy. Her passion is to also help small businesses get exposure through strategic partnerships. Amber, good afternoon. How are you today?
Hey, Jason. Thanks for having me.
All right. Hey, listen, I'm glad you came on. I know that you have a busy schedule, and you know what? You actually are in the midst of doing a number of great things, but the show is I'm Woke. Everybody knows that. I'm Jason Medlock. I'm your host. That's Amber Neal. But Amber, let's just start off talking about um, uh, who are you? Introduce yourself to my audience. I know that you're all over the Houston market and you're all over the country as a millionaire matchmaker. But let's start by introducing yourself to my audience.
Well, how much time do you have, Jason? Oh my gosh! I did so many things when I first started trying to begin my journey to get myself out there, and I got to the place in my career where I was looking for something that was deeper than just working in corporate America. And so I had always been a matchmaker. My mom is actually the first generation matchmaker. She matched and married all her friends to their husbands, and they all stayed together. So she never had a divorced friend that she matched. And in ninth grade, I had an opportunity to play matchmaker again for one of my friends. And I realized very quickly I had a gift doing that. But I kind of just, blew it off. I was like, okay, maybe I just got lucky. And I just I started having visions when I was 18. And the way I was raised in the church, I was really scared of them. I was like, kind of rebuked it at first. I was like, I don't know who that is or where that's coming from. No thanks. And so, but flash forward, I kept having these premonitions and just knowing. I kept saying, I just know. And I don't know how I would know. I would just know things. But the way I was raised, it was like I really was leery to even entertain it.
Yeah.
And so it finally took, when I was 31, I had a premonition of one of the girls I worked with. I had a premonition that her husband was going to leave her that weekend. I've never even met her husband.
Wow.
She came to visit her mom who worked for me. And when she walked up, I just had this vision. And I was like, wow, he didn't come to visit. He came to drop her off and dump her. And her mom came into work the next day, blown away. How'd you know? How'd you know? And I'm like, I don't know, but I got to that point where I was tired of things happening that I knew, but I didn't ever tell nobody,
Right.
you know? And then flash forward, around that same time, I got real disinterested. I'm like, okay, I've been with corporate America forever. I always wanted to be a matchmaker like my mom, but I didn't really, where do you go to learn how to do that, and so when I started working for the dating industry, I started out as a telemarketer, working for a dating industry. And then within 2 months, I was promoted to the director of marketing. And they're like, hey, you're pretty good with this. You might actually have a gift. And so it kind of aligned with what I was looking at. And I was getting in there and I was closing like 80% of the people that I would meet and helping change their life. And I finally started working with Events and Adventures. They're a large private social club. And helping help people find friends and learn their city and find love too. But I eventually just wanted to go out on my own as a matchmaker. And so at that time, I wanted to leave the dating industry. I felt there's a lot of shadiness that went on in that. And I'm like, how do I get myself out there? I had been told I was funny. I knew business, I knew matchmaking, I knew event planning, but I had no idea how I was going to do it. And so that summer of 2010, I spent the whole summer writing a 3-minute comedy set and went and did an open mic on 10-10-10. And I guess I did good because the next time that I got a call was to open at the Fresh Faces of Comedy at the Improv.
Wow.
And and the next thing was a TV show. It just kind of blew up. And then within 2 months, I'd won 2 comedy contests. And I was like, okay. But the thing that a lot of people don't realize is that is, I don't honestly, looking back, I don't know how I did it, Jason,
Right.
because being an empath, you absorb so much energy. It is so hard to do comedy as it is without being an empath. But then, because everybody's just looking at you like, say something funny, or it's laugh per joke, and they're not forgiving, and they want to boo you. So it's so funny. But doing comedy was the first time I heard God's voice in my ear. Once I started my journey, He said, because when I went up to do the comedy at the Improv that day, I face planted. I literally fell on my face, and I heard God say, "How bad do you want it?" And I'm like, "Whoa!" I
Right. It's
didn't
just,
even
it's just clear as day.
clear as day. How bad do you want it?
Okay.
And I was just like, well, not this bad. But I had nothing to drink. I was sober as the day I was born, but I just got up and played it off like I'd been drinking. Hey, had one too many and just you have to learn how to improv. The
But
two
but at
words.
the same time, you were scared out of your mind because you were
Yeah.
like, "Whoa, okay." But I want to take
Mhm.
you back a little bit. I want to take you back a little bit when you first started to just understand that. Wait a minute, my mom was a first generation matchmaker. You
Mhm.
started matchmaking in the 7th grade. But you were using a different ability. You didn't know what it was at the time. Can you kind of walk us through the feelings that you felt? And later on in life, we know that you understood that, hey, I'm empathic. I'm an empath. And we'll talk about that in detail in a little bit. But how,
Yeah.
you honed in on it at an early age. Can you talk to that?
Yeah, actually the first premonition I had, I guess I should go way back.
Sure.
Or the first time I heard God's voice, my cousins were gospel singers. And I would always sing for my grandma. And I'm like, Mama, when I grow up, one day I'm going to sing gospel on TV for you. And I just said it to her like it was a matter of fact because I was sitting there singing my cousin's gospel albums at 7 years old. And I heard God say, when you grow up, you're going to sing gospel on TV. You're going to be famous and you're going to marry a preacher. And it was like, Mama, when I grow up, I'm going to sing gospel on TV. I just told her what I heard. And flash forward to that is really how I even got into comedy was that I always got gospel music was always my first love. And music, I play the piano. So music is always my first love.
Right.
And matter of fact, in 2008, I finally got the courage up to audition for Lakewood.
Mm.
And I'm an introvert. Like, if people don't understand, I'm an introvert extrovert, but like, it's hard for me. I mean, hard. Like, it to this day, it is hard. I will love to stay off stage. It is scary. But that day I auditioned, and that's when I said that's actually the very first time I heard God say, "How bad do you want it?" Actually, because when I went to audition for, that's the day I learned God has a sense of humor. I went to, I walked in a room and I was like, oh, there was this guy that I was totally not attracted to, and I'm like, oh, okay, I can sing in front of him a cappella, no big deal.
Right. Right.
And he's like, oh no, you're not singing for me, you're singing for that guy. And in walks in, the guy would have totally married in the moment, right? But and I heard God say, "How bad do you want it?" I'm like, I have to sing to somebody I'm attracted to. You know how embarrassing that is. Like, that's horrible. And a cappella.
Right.
But I heard God, "How bad do you want it?" And so when they said, "Who wants to go first?" I'm like, "Me," because if I don't do it, I'm gonna. And so flash forward, they said, "You'll either make it, you won't make it, or you have to try it again." And then Hurricane Ike came through, and I never got. They said, "If you make it, you'll get a contract in the mail." I never got the contract, so I'm like, of course, that voice in my head, what'd you try out for? And something, that voice was like, you need to call the church and find out. I called up there and they were like, oh yeah, we've been waiting to get your paperwork back and da da da. And
Wow.
so I went and I sang. You had to memorize all your songs. And so I did the rehearsal for 4 weeks. And I remember the first time I sang on the stage at Lakewood, it was destiny activated. I mean, when the lights came up and I just, the sea of people, and it was like, I had that instant moment where God said, when you grow up, you're going to sing gospel on TV. Now, keep in mind, my grandma passed away the year before. And so I was like, wow, if she would have lived, she would have seen me sing on TV. This is way before I had my awakening to spirituality. This was religion.
Yep.
But I was like, Mom, but that was what activated
Right.
the whole thing. But I had to get out of my fear to even get to that far.
And
But if I wouldn't have done Lakewood, I promise you, I'd have never hit a stage.
but isn't that amazing? Your grandmother, says that you're going to be singing gospel on TV one day, and you tell her that, and then all of a sudden you get the opportunity to do it at Lakewood, and it was one we were talking at one point when we were just trying to understand how we could work together.
Right.
You mentioned a dream you had, and I think you ran through it a little bit earlier, but I mean, you were actually having dreams at an early age
Mm-hmm.
about friends, boyfriends, or husbands, or that were actually going to do certain things, or going to, maybe not date them anymore. And then it came true, and then the friends were mad at you, but you were like, "Hey, I don't know how I was able to do that, but it happened."
Well, it's kind of funny because the first premonition I can remember having, that was at 7, and then nothing happened again until I was 18.
Mhm.
And when I was 18, I was putting my makeup on in this little mirror, and it's just like a flash. It's just like a knowing. I don't know, just information comes in your head. And it was like, your boyfriend's about to call and break up with you. And I'm like, what? Okay. And I was a senior in high school. He was at 1 year in the Navy, so he could stay out later than me. And he wound up calling me the next day and broke up with me. And I was just like, whoa. And then so I kind of rebuked it because, like I said, the way I was raised, that kind of scared me. And then when I was 23, I had a dream about a coworker. I dreamed that she came into one of my dad's old offices, and I saw her clear as day. And in the dream, she had real long wavy hair. And I said, I called her. I said, Becky, I had a dream about you. Send me your picture. And man, I'm telling you, when I tell you, I fell out of my chair when I saw her because it was her. And I told her, I said, man, the only difference was you're in my dream, that because her hair was real short in the picture. And she's like, oh my God, I had literally my hair was long and wavy. I just cut it off the day before I took this picture. And so that was that. I was like, okay. And then that was 23. And then 31 was when I had the premonition that my coworker's, boyfriend was going to dump her off. And then that's when I finally started going, you know what? I think I should look into matchmaking because I have some kind of gift. I don't know what it is. A knowing. I know how I was raised, but it's been a progression of embracing it and not running from it anymore, because I ran from it for a long time.
So the day you understood that I'm empathic. I'm an empath.
Hmm.
What was that? Tell us about that day.
It's so funny because about 2011, the year after I did comedy, I got cast in a reality show called Match or Mingle, and I was the only real matchmaker. Long story, it didn't go to air because the executive producer was a crook. That's the short of it. And he got in some trouble, so the whole show fell apart. But it was that show that helped me put a title on it because I wasn't aware of empath or socialite matchmaker, or like what the different kinds of matchmakers that there are. And when he said empath, I'm like, what's an empath? And he was like, that's, you feel it. Like, it's just a
Right.
knowing. I'm like, oh my God,
Well, we may
that's
have
what I
lost Amber a
am.
little
Like,
bit, but her
it
internet
took
stream will
that
pick
show
back
to
up.
help me
But I think
understand. Like, I didn't know the word.
There you go. She's back. There we go. We lost you a little bit, but go ahead,
Oh,
Amber.
sorry. No, I was just saying it took that show to let me know the title, the word empath. I knew I would always, even my best friend Jenny and I always joke. Every time I say something, I do like hashtag I know because I've always just known, but I didn't know the title empath. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and you cut off a little bit, but
Yeah.
empath has the ability to feel people that are around them, have the ability to feel pain, feel joy, feel happiness, and typically, when you're in the space of another and they're having a bad day, you feel that day, and in some cases, you actually take those feelings away with you, and it can really, really bring you to a space where you're having problems yourself. So just want to kind of let the audience know exactly what being an empath is. And I'm going to segue into something, Amber, and I want you to give me your reaction on this.
Okay.
Um, we're going to look at a video about this very thing. Okay.
Here are 4 rare superpowers every empath has. Number 1, mind reading ability. No, it's not like they show it in the movies. Mind reading in real life is a subtle and difficult task. You have to take cues from a person's body language, their energy, and the way they communicate. An empath can tell if someone is lying or when someone is pretending to be what they are not. We can all, at some level, read other people's behavior, but empaths go further by connecting all the information they get to reach a conclusion about a person. Some empaths can also sense things beyond the material world, like they have visions or can hear messages from a world not so earthly. If you can do so, then you should practice on making your empathic skills more powerful and magnetic. Number 2, an emotional ninja. You can empathize with others, but do you use this ability for yourself? Apart from focusing on how others feel, you should also start distinguishing your emotions from theirs. Don't get trapped in an emotional bubble. Separate yourself from all the mess and indulge in some self-empathy. Self-empathy is when you start paying attention to how you feel. This could have a severe impact on how you deal with others. When your compassion is directed towards you, then you feel less at odds with others. Instead of arguing or debating, you start analyzing their point of view. This allows you to filter all the unnecessary negative emotions which you might encounter with people. Being kind to others is good. Being kind to yourself is necessary. So let your hair down for a day and give yourself a much-needed break. You can start by meditation and creating an atmosphere of relaxation around you. Number 3.
Okay. Now we have a lot to unpack right there. I know. So you can, as a matchmaker, and by the way, you have a 100% match rate. Okay, that we didn't go with that.
I've
But
never had a client get divorced either.
you've
In
never
17
had a
years.
divorce, but
In
Amber,
17 years.
in 17 years, but Amber, you've never had a client divorce, but the empathic ability, you can tell when people are lying. You feel
Oh
it.
yeah.
Can you
Ooh.
react to what you just saw in the video?
It's funny when you said at the beginning of the show about being a blessing or a curse. My mom being an empath, and when I shared with her what I discovered about it, it explained her whole life to her too, because she would always say that. She's like, I just can't turn it off. And it's like a radar. It's like you don't even ask for it. And the thing is, I read people through their eyes. So if I focus, laser focus, and you catch me staring at you, you're in trouble, because I can read not just you, I can read who you've been around. I can read through people. I can get the energy of people that aren't even here no more. Like whatever energy is around you, I'm going to pick it up. And
Wow.
so it makes it really hard for people to lie to me, especially when I'm got you dead to rights looking you in the eyes like that. You don't stand a chance. But that's the thing too. That's why comedy is so hard for me, because when I look at people, I can feel it, and everybody has discernment, right? And I really believe your intuition is that second gut, or that second brain. Your intuition is your second brain. But I really think that being an empath is like discernment on steroids. It's kind of the way I put it.
Well, we have Tereska Harrison Medlock. She's my co-host, and she's been on a lot of episodes. But my sister is empathic as well, and she says I can read people very well also.
Mhm.
And Amber, you're not alone out here. But what's so strange? I mean, you're not alone out here with this gift with this spiritual gift. But Amber, you've been in the entertainment industry for some time, but you're
Yeah.
on the stage, you're doing comedy, and we had an intimate conversation, and something just doesn't feel right to you. Would you like to talk about how being an empath has sort of slowed down one career, but it opened up the door for successes with the Boss Network and successes as a millionaire matchmaker?
Yeah, because that's where the blessing and the curse side comes from.
Mhm.
Because I'm already an introvert extrovert. I'm Virgo, Leo rising, some kind of both. But as an empath, it's hard. It can literally keep you off the stage,
Yes.
or from performing, because if you don't have a way to get rid of that energy that you've absorbed. I've said this for years, even before I knew I was an empath. I would try to explain this gift to people, and I would say, it's like I'm you. That's how I would explain it. And because it's like I feel everything that they feel. And it's so interesting, because as a comedian, it's really hard to turn it off. You can't turn it off. That's the problem, is I can't turn it off. So whereas a normally shy introvert like me, who's already hard to get on stage, that's why my legs turned to spaghetti and I fell on the stage, because you can't turn it off. And so what a normal person, when you have 400 people sitting there looking at you like, say something funny, that's already hard enough. And then, public speaking is the number one fear as it is. And then comedy is you against the world. But the thing about it is when you got all those people staring at you, if I'm reading the crowd, I literally can't look at people, because
Yes.
I can get hung up.
Yes.
I can like zone in and lose my rhythm, forget my transition, forget what I'm going to talk about next. But so it's a challenge, because I really want to do more crowd work, but it's really hard for me, because I can't. When I zone in, it's like I don't know how to explain. I can't turn it off. So it kind of hinders me as a comedian to carry all that energy on stage and to be able to read people in the audience. So
And
it's intimidating.
and that's why I wanted you on the show. I just thought that you're so impressive with running the network as the president of the Houston Boss Network, the Amber, producing the Amber Neal show. You were entangled in so many different things, a professional comedian at the Improv, and I knew that I want to bring her on. She's probably gonna tell 1,000 jokes. But in the same breath, Amber, you had a spiritual gift. And this helps a lot of people out there who are in their professional careers that are in board meetings, that are speaking to groups, but they are absorbing this energy of the audience, and it hinders them from being their best. And I know that you and I talked about a few techniques, and I want to share that with the audience. I've done extensive studies on empaths, and one of the things that you can do is grounding. Grounding is a technique where you meditate and you speak directly to your subconscious, to God, and you typically ground yourself to the earth. I mean, to the actual ground. They have movies out there on grounding. You step outside, you take your shoes off, you let your feet hit the ground, and you pray and you give thanks to the consciousness of Mother Earth. You give thanks to Mother, Father, God. You give thanks and gratitude for the breath that you breathe, and you imagine the roots coming from the ground into your feet, filling your body with nutrients, and the energy coming from the crown of your head, shooting out the crown of your head. And people may say, well, what is that? Well, what it's doing is it is grounding you to the earth, to where we are, which in turn can help you be able to deflect and handle some of the empathic side effects that you may have while you're presenting, while you're doing a show, while you're speaking with a boss, and you can feel his emotions. But number two is doing a aura cleansing. And some people who go to crystal shops and they buy the crystals, you may hear or you may see when they use the ring bowl, and they take that bowl and they stir and they make the noise around the ring, and it clears the energy of the crystal. So a aura sweep is when you are able to call on certain love factions, give kindness and give gratitude to God, and still, do a small meditation, and then you brush your body off. You're sweeping away this energies that you're picking up, and that's an aura sweep, and that typically helps people clean this energy from themselves that are empathic, that pick those type of energies up. So, those are just two tips, but there are many, many more techniques, and I know you and I are going to be getting together on that. But Amber, Taruska's saying, wow, it's like she's talking about me.
Yeah, it's so great when you can get around other people. I love talking to other empaths because it's like another whole understanding of this whole world that we live in. We observe it so differently, and I've had to learn how to observe things and not absorb things. And that's one of the things about meditation and the law of attraction, that you may not really understand in the beginning stages is, yes, you can meditate and you can manifest, but the part they don't tell you is the part about let go of the outcome and get into the flow of it. Because, I said that the other day, like, hey, the grind don't sleep, but thank God I've learned how to manifest because I can take a nap. You know what I mean?
But Amber, using your empathic abilities has positioned you as a industry leading expert. I mean, you've had some big deals out there, but you've taken advantage of your skill and your gift, haven't you?
Absolutely. Once I just, after 15 years of things happening, trying to get my attention, I finally was like, I need to figure this out because, obviously I have a gift with it. And I've been searching and doing a lot of research and learning more. And the more I've really learned, it's amazing because I think about my life 10 years ago, back when I really started trying to figure this whole empath thing out. I knew I had the gift. I knew I'd matchmake people. I knew I'd help people find love for years, but I didn't know the name. I didn't really know what the gift was. And once you fully embrace it, it's like a superpower. I love it. It really is.
Okay, we're going to look at. Let's roll to some video, and I want to get your response to this right here. Okay.
Okay.
Transform negativity into something positive. An empath is as much aware of negative things as he or she is of positive. You can't escape negativity, so why run from it and make your tasks more difficult? Try to find better ways in which you can make something out of any cynical experience. You can also convert negativity by practicing a quiet 5-minute tongue meditation. You can also use high energy plants or flowers where you feel there is some kind of low energy. The best and easy method is to utter a few positive and encouraging words and thoughts to people who are feeling low on energy. You can also use laughter to dispel all the gloominess. After all, there is nothing better than a shared laugh. Number 4, turn your sensitivity into a weapon. If you are sensitive to smells, sounds, or anything else, then use it for your advantage. Instead of being burdened by it, try to make it work for the best. You can use it for public benefit also, like you can create quiet places for meditation where you feel relaxed and can welcome others too. You can use your sensitivities to create something meaningful in the world. Your empathic skills are not a curse. Sure, they overwhelm you and make you feel exhausted, but they can be channelized in such a way that doesn't leave you bereft of peace and happiness. Try to sharpen your skills to make the best out of everything. You don't have to overdo it with positivity. You just have to make it survivable for yourself and for others. Empathy is a superpower alone,
we cut that
and
off.
yet
Wow,
it
that's so
comes with
funny.
other superpowers.
So
Yeah, that's what it feels like.
unpack that for me. I'm not an empath, but there were several nuggets right there that spoke. And I know my sister, she's blowing up the feed, but there were several nuggets.
Hey, girl, hey.
That jumped out. Can you speak to any of them?
It really is. It can be overwhelming, and people can be energy vampires. My daughter's an empath too, and it's amazing because all three of us have the same gift, but it's like a different way we see or hear, know.
Yes.
But it's interesting because it's, for me, the whole thing I'm doing is I'm trying to cure the divorce rate. I'm trying to use this gift to help kids and families and help people believe in love again and fight for the things that really matter in this world, because it's nothing external, and that's why people are sad and the suicide rate is so high, because people think it's external things are going to heal them or fix them, and that's not what it's about. And when I hear these things, it's so interesting because nothing happens by accident. I really don't think that. So I can even now look back at some of the bad things I would consider in my life, and I'm grateful for them. And I think that's what it really is about, is just being in gratitude when you're trying to use your gift, because it can be overwhelming if you don't stay in a grateful place to understand that this is your gift, this is your calling, this is the superpower God gave you to help people on the planet. And I think if you don't use it for something to help other people, I think it can make you very miserable.
Yeah. So Carrie Fleming says, absolutely. And Tereska Harrison says, hey, Amber, you are speaking their language. So, okay. We've really we've dived off into the empathic stuff, but tell us some of the new projects you're working on.
So right now I am launching, I don't know if y'all can see my shirt, or y'all can see it, Married Date. So I am launching Married Date. It's like marriage and date pushed together. It is a private social club just for couples. The website is up. You guys can go check it out. We were supposed to launch already, but COVID, So we're trying to launch again at the beginning of the year. We're making it. I'm producing my show, the Amber Neal Show. I am here at the Boss Up Houston Network every Friday and Saturday at 9 p.m. My show airs, and then it goes to syndication on Mondays at 7 at A-Star TV, and then it's also on Comcast Cable. And I'm doing all this. Anything I do, entertainment. I'm a publicist. Everything I do in the public is to bring awareness or a commercial or marketing for Married Date, all of it, so I'm trying to get to that place where all my words align with my mission, and not just, just do comedy just to do comedy. Like, I want the words to count.
There's another interesting fact about you. You're also an ordained minister.
Yes. So, it's so interesting because that's one thing I resonated with in the video, that comedy is really, I think it's not a coincidence, because this is some heavy stuff that you deal with when you, especially as a matchmaker, a date coach, even a publicist, and you're trying to help people follow their dreams and find their things. It can be very, it can be challenging without comedy. But as far as an ordained minister, I became an ordained minister because I want to marry people.
Right. Right.
That was my motivation, and you'll find that literally everything I do is about curing the divorce rate.
Well, Amber, when you're not talked, I mean, it wasn't. I mean, you didn't shy away from it. You was like, you know what? I'm religious, and I think I'm spiritual, but I'm spiritual. I think I'm religious. So you was like, I'm both. But you were clear to say that this is my calling, is to cure the divorce rate. Did
Yeah,
you?
it's 100%, because even in 2018, I lost my father, and I was trying to rescue a friend of mine that was going through battles of addiction, and I almost lost myself in it, because that's the bad thing about the empath, is you attract broken people, and I heard God distinctly again in 2018. He said, if you don't leave now, and go spend, he sent me to the desert of all places. I wind up opening myself up to take a break from everything I was doing, entertainment, and I went back to work with Events and Adventures for a year and helped turn their company, help grow their locations. And I heard God loud and clear say, if you don't leave now, you will miss your calling to shift the culture. And so that is what I'm here for, because that's why I'm a TV producer. That's why I do comedy, because it's about the programming, it's about the message. And the TV is the wet weapon of mass destruction. You turn on the TV, it'll keep you so fear based, you won't ever manifest anything. And you cannot manifest unless you're in gratitude. And so everything I do is about trying to change the narrative in the culture, whether it's on TV, on the stage, no matter where I'm at, no matter what I'm doing. I'm trying to give solutions. And I created Meridate from never having a divorced client. So I'm like, you know what? I kind of know what it takes to keep it together in today's world. And I'm like, I would always stay involved with my clients, even past marriage. Like, no matter what they need, I'm here to whatever, mediate, give you a referral to an expert, whatever you need to keep you together. And I'm like, how do I do this on the mass market level? And God really showed me a way to put it together and to create Meridate. So that's, if y'all can measure Meridate. So that's what I've done. I've created Meridate, and there's been a lot of adversity to it, but as a person who really believes that it's very important who you hang around as couples, as a couple, who you guys put into your life like that, it could be catastrophic or it could be a blessing. And so now with Meridate, so now we are launching our virtual division as well. So we're going to be doing up to 50 events a month in person. And for other people that aren't really ready, want to mingle in today's world, we're going to have the virtual events, and we travel together all around the world, so you get group rates. But I've created a way to create the romance, because let's face it, women work now. So who has time to barely take care of the kids, let alone to plan the romance? And I had a friend of mine whose wedding anniversary was on Valentine's. And I'm like, well, what are y'all doing to celebrate? And she's like, nothing. We don't have time. And I'm like, and you wonder why you're always fighting every time I come around, So I am creating the solution for the romance, the fun, the bucket list. How do you keep it spicy? How do you make sure you have the right people in your corner and the right people? And the answer is, we focus on mental health. So yes, we're a private social club, and yes, we will let you do up to 10 events before you have to join. But once you get ready to join, you have to go through screening with a therapist to find out where you're at in life. Because if you're miserable, you can't come infect the happy couples. But if you go to therapy, we'll give you free travel. If you take our advice to help you heal mentally and emotionally, because let's face it, a lot of us are coming into relationships with lots of baggage, a lot of unhealing. And that's how I look at people when I meet them. I put them in one of two categories: healed or unhealed. Now, granted, we can kind of be in the middle sometimes, but people that are healed speak a different language. And once you're healed, you will no longer hurt anyone, and you will no longer try to rescue anyone, because you also know that that's something they have to do in their own spirit and their own timing.
Rob Martin with Extraterrestrial Evidence, the host of that show, he said coincidence is God's way of remaining anonymous. And Tereska, I like that. Tereska, this is a wonderful calling. I mean, this show is, consciousness and spirituality and channeling, but there are everyday professionals that, that have to work. They don't spend all day meditating. And your story is so interesting because you are a busy woman, but you figured out a way to handle the gifts that God has given you, and plus He's giving you an outstanding calling. And Carrie Fleming says it's very nice. Just it's a breath of fresh air what you're doing out there, Amber. And you don't give yourself enough credit. I mean, you're a CEO of your own your own setup, and then you're also a president of a streaming network. I mean, let's talk a little bit about that now.
You know what? It's not about me. At the end of the day, when I first started taking classes to become a producer, because I was on unemployment. You know what I mean? Sure. I couldn't afford anything. So I was like, well, let's see. I've been told I'm funny. I can do that for free. And I had to learn to take classes. I had to learn to do this. I have never been that person that it's not about me. I mean, I love helping people find love. I am like hopeless romantic. I'm Cupid. I cannot tell you how much joy it gives me when I see a child born from something that I created, a union I helped create. It's not about me. Like I'm telling you, that is where sadness and depression creeps in a lot of people's lives, is they make it about them. And it's not about your ego. The ego is an illusion. I mean, it's not even, it's like your avatar. You know what I mean? It's not even really real at the end of the day.
What a great
compliment, but I don't see it like that. I just see it like this is another resource God has given me to get the message out about curing the divorce rate.
Yes, and God gives us all tasks while we're here incarnated in these avatars, and we all have a purpose. And to be so genuine with your purpose and your gift, and in curing the divorce rate, and matchmaking people to have a happy and more abundant life, I just think it's outstanding. I really, really do.
Thank you. It's a lot. I remember when I was doing comedy 7 nights a week, 3 or 4 open mics a night, trying to master it for the first 2 years. And then once I felt like, okay, I could trust my funny, then I started doing the TV production and all that. And it was like, how do you get yourself out there? And I've always believed you give your way into wealth, and I just think that we're here. We have a responsibility. And if you want to go scripture, it's nothing that we have is ours. Ours individually, it's ours, and I think that's where people really get it confused, is we look at it so individual soul versus collective. And if we all come from God, then how can you hate anyone? How can you wish ill on anyone? And what I'm even learning in this stage of my gift is how powerful words are. Yes. And it's specifically want to cast a warning about the words you say, because you don't realize it's going to come back to you. Yes. I have seen it so much lately, how people wish ill, or they're glad when somebody falls, or they have a shortcoming of something because it's their enemy. But y'all don't understand, God loves us all the same. He loves us all the same. You know what I mean? And God loves it's all the same. So it's not about that. It's about staying positive, stay focused on you, stay focused on what you're working on. And, God will bless you, because you don't get your gifts from humans. That's the thing. Like, that's how I've probably made most of the people that don't like me in the entertainment industry. It's because I'm not coming in playing games and asking permission. God knew not to make me skinny, honey, because I've been on a pole a long time ago. Okay, I'm kidding.
Amber, Truska says Amber is a good example of where spiritual gifts meets talents.
Oh, thank you.
She's working with intention. And EG says, I like your spirit, Amber, and you're so right. It's not about us.
It's not. How boring would that be? I mean, that's why you've got millionaires killing themselves, because it's not external. It's internal, and you only get to live one time. And it's like, what did you do? How did you help humanity? What did you do to help other people along? Because all you're doing is putting good out there. What do you think is going to return? But I promise you, even the words you say, you better be careful, because you're also speaking that on your life as well. I'm telling y'all, I can't tell you how much I've seen that lately.
What a breath of fresh air.
Mhm.
Just the nature of what you do, the nature of how you've incorporated your spiritual gifts in your profession, but from where you started to where you are now. Can you leave a message for the young girls out there, for
Yeah.
for the struggling mom, for the young males out there that are looking at relationships the wrong way? Can you, and even the working professional woman, can you leave us with something?
Absolutely. At the end of the day, the self love journey is the best thing that you can ever go on. And listen, the self love journey, when you see the phoenix rising out of the ashes, you got to let it burn first.
Yes.
You got to be willing, because you're going to keep masking it and keep avoiding it and keep thinking. Some people go into drugs, drinking alcohol, sex. Other people go into overachieving as a coping mechanism. We all have different coping mechanisms, but until you rip the band-aid off and you actually let it heal, you're just going to keep repeating the same people, the same cycles, the same relationships, because it's all about lessons. We're here to learn. And as long as you just keep making the same mistakes and the same cycles, but here's the main thing: only make decisions that are where you're being true to yourself. When you get that resistance, that's your sign it's not right for you. It may be right now, but be true to yourself. Trust that first voice. Trust that instinct. Anything past that first voice I don't trust it. It's that first intuition. That's God, that first voice. Learn to listen to that. Learn to seek God first. And like I told y'all, I was on unemployment. I had got fired from the dating industry because I wasn't willing to do the shady stuff. I got fired. I went from making 30 grand a month on the low end to 1,600 a month on unemployment.
Wow.
And I decided, you know what? This is when it's time. If I'm making y'all millions, it's time for me to figure out what's going on, and do this for myself, because I'm not going to align with shady. Not all money is good money, but never give up on yourself and get lost in the miracles and wonders of the fact that you're here, because you don't have to be here. And if you look at the odds that you are here, wow, you can realize that God has a purpose for you. He didn't have to create you, but he did. So he feels like the world needed one of you. And when you, as they say, the two best days on earth are the day you're born and the day you find out why. And if you haven't figured out why, that's where your sadness and depression is. If you live in ego and you make it all about you and with money and power and fame and fortune, you can lose all that. All right. But if you actually take your time, and you can do it as a single mom. I was 37 when I started my journey. You know what I mean? So it's been later in life. But a lot of people that are super successful, you look at some of the biggest billionaires in the planet, they didn't even make their first billion until they were in their 50s. So time is an illusion. Time is not real. But the thing
Absolutely.
is, be true to you. If it don't feel right, and when you feel that resistance and you just keep going and not being true to yourself, if you do that one piece of advice, I'll give you two things to live by, and I'll leave y'all with this. Number one, people do what they want to do. If they're not calling you, if they're not treating you right, if they're abusing you, they want to, or they don't want. You know what I mean? That's their choice. People do what they want to do. And number two, people do what you let them. If you will just live by those two rules and get out of victim mentality and quit playing the old song and dance of woe is me, and get into your, hey, I attracted that. I was unhealed, so I attracted that. Not that it's right or wrong. It's just that you got to get real to understand your part of being hurt in life is that you didn't heal to understand that you attracted that. And you've got to figure out why. And you've got to go on your healing so you won't need anything external to feel whole and complete. And talk about joy. Every day wake up with gratitude, but believe it. Your mind, it all starts up here. If you can, God will meet you at your level of expectation. So if you don't believe you can find love, you won't. If you believe all people are dogs, they are. Whatever is your truth, that is going to be your result.
In the words of the church, you better
Amen.
preach. You better preach.
Glory.
Absolutely. I am going to, you know what? I want to thank you for coming on this show. And I knew it would be a different twist to my audience. We've had some very, very interesting PhDs, and we've had some, energy healers and channelers, but I knew that we would get to have a average working person, and you're not average by any means, but just a different type of career, but who could also share how spirituality and how spiritual gifts have influenced your life. And we are so appreciative for you coming out, and I thank you. I'm gonna go ahead and put you in the back room, and don't go anywhere, and I'll speak to the audience, and I'll get back to you. How about that, guys? That was absolutely wonderful. Know that your spiritual gifts are in abundance. And Amber is a professional comedian. She's the president of the Houston Boss Up Network. She's also Houston Millionaire Matchmaker. She's a producer for Comcast Cable, all while understanding her spiritual gift of being an empath. And if you tuned in late, being empathic and having to deal with all these different people, a lot of the energies that are in the room or in the office with her, there's a chance that she can absorb those energies in a good or a bad way, which could typically knock her off balance, have her feeling bad, even have her afraid to get on stage and to do what she loves to do. But Amber has overcome those type things, and I'm so proud of her for that. You have been listening to I'm Woke. I am Jason Medlock. This is episode 11. We will close this thing out with episode 12. We're going to get the entire crew back together, and we're going to talk about all of the shows that we did this year, all the guests that we had on, and we're going to explore each one of those and find out, how did it make us feel? What particular technique did we try? Did it work? Did it not work? And just really have a look back and a review of this entire season and sort of share that with you guys. So do not miss that. You can follow us on Facebook. Just simply type in I'm Woke. You can also follow us on YouTube. Just subscribe to the channel and just type in I'm Woke. Go to www.jasonmedlock.com. If you want to hear this audio podcast, if you want to ride in the car and listen to it, go to www.jasonmedlock.com. It will be an audio version, and we'll have there's also a video version. So you can go back and listen to Amber, because Amber really dropped a lot of nuggets on us tonight. And this was one of the more exciting shows. It was a different show, but it still highlighted the fact that spirituality is in all of us. We have to understand this, understand how to use our gifts, and be at peace with it. But give gratitude. If you're empathic, you must ground, and you must understand how to sweep the aura energy, and you must give gratitude. I'm Jason Medlock, and we will see you the next time. Good night.